Wow, what makes us human being? I think our imperfection. I think about that a lot. I don't like about the uncanny valley, right? Where like if something's too perfect, it looks creepy, like
Yes.
3D videos or whatever. Like human beings are meant to be imperfect, dance, move.
Mhm.
Don't be this robotic. Don't be the LinkedIn version of yourself. Be a human being.
Mm. Oh.
Be real. Ask a bunch of questions, and maybe some of them aren't appropriate, but we should explore and yeah, I think it's all tied into being imperfect.
I'm your host, Shah Hurley. Each week, I invite a conscious leader in tech, sales, and beyond to share their inner journey, how they overcome obstacles, how they achieve success while staying true to themselves, and above all, what makes them human beings. I hope those authentic conversations serve as an inspiration for you as you continue your own inner journey of self-discovery, healing, and mastery. Hi, Oscar.
Hello, Shah. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm learning how to speak again after being, in the Vipassana meditation retreat for 10 days. So be patient with me because sometimes words
Yeah.
might stuck in my throat. I am doing great. I'm doing great. Last year it was tough. Went deep down to the underworld, healing a lot of things.
On that shadow work.
Yes, you are familiar with that. I'm sure we're going to talk more about it. But turn it to you, Oscar. Maybe just a short intro, because I do think your journey, your reflection is more valuable than your title, your job, whatever that might be. But let's just give some space to that before we dive right in. Sounds good?
Yeah, I'll give the short version. Um, I'll start in 2013. I got sober. I joined the gym. I lost 143 pounds. It took me 3 years. But I did that and it was life changing. And that led me to Oregon. And I got married. Everything was going great. And in 2021, I was diagnosed with leukemia, T-all leukemia. Then I needed a stem cell transplant. And then um, I went through a divorce. And then I had to get a double lung transplant. And so the doctors in Oregon contacted a bunch of places in California. They all pretty much said no, except for Stanford. And Stanford saved my life. I was there for 8 months for the whole process. And it was almost a year ago today that I was released from the hospital. Yeah, at Stanford.
Mm. It's been a whole year. And I remember you're saying the real journey starts after you get out of the hospital, the recovery.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as easy as people think. People think, oh, you're out of hospital, you're free now, but it's really not like that. Um, how did you find out you had a leukemia? I'm curious.
Yeah, that was an interesting day. I was doing this thing called rucking where you walk with a backpack with a bunch of weight plates. So
Mm.
I would walk with like 55 pounds of weight plates, and I would do that sometimes on my lunch just to get a workout in. And I remember I did that, and I took the backpack off with my arm and kind of lowered it on the floor. And I thought I hurt my arm maybe because my arm just started getting more sore and sore and sore throughout the day. And by the end of my work shift, I was like 10 out of 10 pain. I was like in tears. It hurt. And I did this like teledoc thing, and they're like, you need to go to like Super Zoom where we could do blood tests. Something's wrong. So I go in there and they like do x-rays and everything, and they're like, we don't see what's going on, but we'll wait for the blood results to come back. And then I remember the doctor, the nurse came in and she was like really sad, and she's like, your white blood cells are like 19 times higher than they should be. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And she says, you most likely have leukemia. And then before you know it, I'm there for 28 days straight, going through chemotherapy and dealing with all that. Yeah, it was kind of
Wow.
nuts.
Yeah, like a normal day turned into a starting new
Yeah.
journey. And I call this initiation. What was your biggest fear in that moment?
It makes you think about death a lot. It makes you
Mm.
think, okay, maybe what if my life is over? And I don't really have regrets, I'd say. It's like but there's still things I want to do. There's still things on my bucket list, I guess, and kind of makes you think, hey, when I'm out of here, less time, on the computer and in front of screens, and maybe more time, outside and with loved ones, and time maybe doing things that you love to do, whether it's reading or art or whatever. Yeah.
Time at Stanford, you said it saved your life. Can you share three of your favorite memories?
The memories that sticks out is it was my, I guess technically second day there. I flew in around, it was my first day. I flew in like close to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I arrived at Stanford. Mhm. I didn't go to sleep until like 2 a.m. by the time they were done checking me out. And then I woke up in the morning and there was like a line of doctors out the door, like exaggeration, there's probably like 20 people. And they
Wow.
just came in one by one asking me questions and we're gonna check. They checked everything. They're asking me, where have you traveled to in your I went to Mexico, but that was like 20 years ago. No, no, we want to know. We want to check for every possible fungus, for every they took so many blood samples. But that memory sticks out as a great memory because I saw just how seriously they took it.
Yeah.
Like it
Wow.
was just shocking to me how much attention to detail and how much science and knowledge is behind all this. Like, wow, I felt like, yeah, I'm in the best place I could be for all this. Um, Another great memory is just a combination of the way the nurses took care of me. Just there's some great, great people that work there. Um, like like they really are heroes. There was a nurse that I felt like I had a friend there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even, she wasn't like, I wasn't even her patient one day, but she came in to visit and say hello. And she's like, oh, you need a shave. You know what? I'm gonna grab the clippers on my break, shave you. And I'm like, no, we can wait
Oh,
till like I'm your patient. She's like, no, I'd be happy to do it.
wow.
So she came and got the clippers and like shaved me up. And those little things, it's like, wow. Um, Another nurse, she would always push me to walk near the end when I was getting better. And she brought me like a coloring book and colored pencils because she saw that I was doing the art
Mm-hmm.
too. And yeah, just some great people. Good memories of that being taken well care of. And then of course, you every week, I'd be so excited. I'm like, oh, Shaw's gonna be coming. It's the afternoon. I think it was like every Wednesday or Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and I still have some paintings that we did. And I haven't looked at these in about a year. I just
Wow.
pulled them out today.
Before we
Um,
share your arts, I wanted to ask one more question on your good
okay.
memories. Let's dive one layer deeper. The three memories you shared, if you go deeper inside of you, what is it about those memories that make you feel like I cherish those memories? Um, how did you feel?
I felt uh I felt cared for. I felt safe.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I felt like I was in good hands. Because that's what I needed at the time. I needed to feel. Um, I guess I also felt when I saw just how big this team is ultimately that's looking after me and checking my blood and history and all
Yeah.
that, like, oh, I'm not alone in this one. I have a lot of people fighting for me, fighting for my health. Um, yeah, there's definitely, I guess, a sense of a community that was going to take care of me and help me. Yeah,
Yeah. The feeling of being supported. Um, I had a similar feeling because I also went through my own health care, also at Stanford Health. Um, I feel like as human beings, we all want to feel being cared, right? Being taken care of. We're
yeah,
feeling safe, feeling that we got support when we go through difficult times. Sometimes we're all busy with our own stuff. Like we're all busy with our own, like last year, I had no capacity to care for my friends because I was so busy dealing with my own shadows. And then that got me
yeah,
to think, are we supposed to take care of our own, our own inner needs? The, you know, the whole the needs of being cared of, being prioritized, being supported. Is it possible that we see those are the needs it's important to us and we show up for ourselves in a way um, that's possible.
yeah. I think one of the things about like working on yourself and doing shadow work,
Mm-hmm.
it's been my experience that like the more you learn about yourself and these little things, um, you ultimately learn about other people.
Yeah,
Like, let's say you're like, oh, I noticed that I'm very angry lately. So I'm gonna learn about where anger comes from, where it comes from me. And then when it's all said and done, you kind of, if someone's angry out there in the world, you might get where it's coming from. So,
yeah,
understanding yourself better helps you understand the world a bit better. And I think that's a beautiful side effect of shadow work. You bring up a good point though, we're always together with people and we're praying for them and calling them and visiting in the hospital, but what about, when they get laid off from work?
mm,
Or do we just send them a text, hey, chin up? You know, like why can't we be a little bit more, yeah, more there for them?
yeah. I keep thinking about lately. I mean, I guess ever since I started working in Stanford Hospital, I started to contemplate what does it mean to love someone. Because I be in the hospital rooms, I've seen you and your mother, other combination, daughter and mother, husband and wife, and I witnessed a lot of things. And then I started to think sometimes we don't really know how to love people, and we don't even know how to love ourselves. And then we sometimes just like wish if there is this, this person who knows how to love me exactly the way how I wanted, and then my life will be happy. But that person doesn't exist. So can I be that person for myself? And that's something I've been observing because sometimes I feel sad if I walk into the patient room, there's no one there, no visitors, just patient um, by himself for the whole 6 months there. And I started to imagine like what's going on inside of the person. Would that person feel not loved or lonely, whatever? But then I realized maybe that journey is necessary for us to realize we cannot demand certain things from other people, but only to give that to ourselves. Um, you and your mother, I wonder because the first art we did together, it was about your mother. The memories you had about your mother. If you still have the art, um, if you can share your journey, like on this, we're talking about your physical healing, but I'm assuming there's something that you're healing in terms of your relationship with your mother.
Yeah, I think we briefly might have talked about that in the hospital, but the bad mouth my mother, but we didn't really get along
Yeah.
um for a while. Well, I should say we weren't as close. That's probably a more accurate statement.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, we weren't as close for a while, especially when I moved to Oregon. Born and raised here in Yuba City, California. Stuff no. But for the double lung transplant, the timing was perfect and I remember I called her before I went to the ER because I was like She was with my sister, and I was like, I don't feel good. Like, and she's like, you don't sound good. Like, your voice is different. Say you're having trouble breathing. She told me just go to the ER. So I went to the ER and I texted her, hey, they're giving me oxygen. I feel better. And then like 3 days later, I wake up, intubated, and my wrists are strapped to the bed. I have no idea what's going on, and my mom's there, and I'm like, oh God, like something bad must have happened if she's no longer with my sister in Santa Barbara, and now she's in Oregon. Um, yeah, and I give a lot of credit to my mom for she stuck with me for 8 months, just about every single day. I did near the end, once I got better, I'm like, go take a week off, go back home. Like, but for my vast majority of those 8 months, she spent it with me, sleeping on the hospital sofa, barely getting any sleep. Um, how that goes, 5 in the morning, there, that X-ray machine.
Yeah.
That they're checking your labs and blood, and so yeah, she didn't get a lot of sleep either, but she stuck it out with me. Yeah. And that really
Wow.
repaired our relationship, I think. Well, it brought us closer for sure. Um, yeah.
Sometimes we don't feel loved by our parents just because the distance we have, but it doesn't mean that they don't love us. And because when things get really bad, we're gonna feel it. We're gonna, but then we don't have to. That's my personal experiences. I had a tumor in my kidney. My mother said if it was cancerous or if you need a surgery, I'm gonna come live with you. And she doesn't speak English. She lives in China, and then um, and in my mind, I was telling myself all the stories, right? It's like, I don't want to have a cancer, but if I have cancer, that would be nice because my mom will come to stay with me for a while. And gladly it
Yeah.
was not. And so I kept getting sick because every time when I get sick, my mom come to spend time with me. I guess on the subconscious level, I was really good at manipulating my mom's love in a way, even though I didn't have to. I'm the only child. And speaking of the arts, there are a couple of times we did arts with your mom together. If you had the arts, let's just show it to the audience. Maybe if there's any if reflections that you didn't get to share and you want to share, I would love to hear. Because when we're spending time
Oh yeah.
together, you had this valve, I think, in your throat. You could not talk much. And
Yeah.
I did most of the talking, facilitating the session. But in my mind, it's like, when Oscar feels better, I would love to reach out to him and learn more about what's going on inside of him. So here we are.
Yeah, I have some let's see. I always thought these were interesting. I forgot what the exercise was, but
Mhm.
let's see if you can see.
Yeah, I can see this is the inner demon. Like I think you and your mom were both there, right?
Yeah, on this one, I have hers
Remember the
too.
flowers. Hmm.
Yeah, the I labeled this one the brain monster. I think just a lot of stuff in my head.
That one was inspired by actually a Buddhism practice, that we all have a demon and angel inside of ourselves. So if we go inside of ourselves and discover what our inner demons are, and then we give space to it, we actually feed the demon. We don't have to push it away and cultivate a certain aversion. Say, I don't like him, you know, I want to cut this demon off my body. And that, because if we do that, we actually are cutting part of ourselves away from ourselves. So if we feed that demon part of ourselves, when we love that part of ourselves, we're giving ourselves a space to be whole. So that was the intention behind the exercise we did together. I was happy that you and your mom both were there. And so you get to also draw one item on each other's demon. And your mom drew the flower. Is it the flower that she drew,
Be
or you
true.
drew the flower?
Oh, here's hers.
Yeah, this is her. Yeah, high heels. I remember high heels, but unhappy, busy, and running around. I remember she was talking about you used to wear high heels, and now I have to like Oscar give me this pair of running shoes I get you because I do a
Oh,
lot of things. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, because gosh, she was walking to like the Ronald McDonald House, which was, I think, it was a few blocks away. It was a bit of a walk, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna buy her some hokas.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's how you show love to her. And there's so many little moments I see how you show love to each other, and just it doesn't
yeah,
have to be like, I'll buy you $1,000 something, but it's like little things that makes me just smile just thinking about that. Um, so yeah, share your arts, and then we can
I
maybe go
got
into your reflections.
this one's called Swiftly Happy. Okay.
Swiftly happy of the flowers. Oh yeah, the shapes. Could you share more the healing? There's also this little healing spiral on the top.
Yeah, I think for me the spiral is kind of just, oh, I got so many thoughts on time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time is kind of weird for me because like like right now I started writing a book. That's been my big fun project, which is
Oh
kind of
wow.
helping me heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the doctors is like, you what you've been through, like, not a lot of people have been through this. You should write a book. You should write a book. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, but in doing so, I'm like looking back at journals that I had from like 2021, 22, 23. And and it's like I'm going back in time, but I'm talking about it now. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I had my transplant like 2023. Just my sense of time, it just, yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
about spirals and weird kind of time to me isn't really linear. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
How does that change or not change um, how you spend time nowadays?
It's still kind of that one day at a time mindset. And one thing though I've noticed is, when I think about the future,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm really afraid anymore afraid of finding another job, or how am I gonna keep a roof over my head or whatever. It's just, um, yeah, I guess I've been through enough that I feel like they're tiny little issues now for me in a way. Like the universe will provide for me. Meet each other halfway.
There's more trust. Sounds like there's more trust in the universe, in yourself.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. There's a lot more trust. I'm not afraid, really. Yeah. Oh, I want to share a story real quick before I forget.
Yes.
Because um it was probably like the first month when I went to the ER in Oregon, um the double lung transplant stuff. There's these two doctors that came in. And one of the doctors was, I forgot what the term was, but they were basically saying I was too weak. Like, um, my legs like became really, really skinny, like toothpick skinny, and it was kind of scary to look at them. They were like, because I used to have like big legs, and and then there was like this the skin between your thumb and index finger. They said when that gets super duper thin, that's a bad sign. Like that's the last place, I guess, that you lose fat. Um, and it looked kind of like a frog's leg webbing. And I'm like intubated, I can't talk, but I wrote down on the notepad, I said, "Hey doc, I feel great. Let's arm wrestle." And he kind of did a double take, and he's like, "Okay." And he got the little side table and he set it up, and he like, scooted the bed up, and we arm
Mhm.
wrestled. And I put up a good little fight for like a minute, but he won, of course. And
Mm-hmm.
then he did other tests, like he put his hands on my ankles and I pushed him
Mm-hmm.
up. And by the end of it, he was scolding the other doctor, like, why did you diagnose him as being like so far gone and weak when he's like able to arm wrestle me and stuff? So
Yeah.
I think about that sometimes, like, um, it's not being afraid and just going for it. What if I would have kept quiet and just said, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I take their word for it."
You always got this. I mean, working with you, it was almost like a gift. I remember specifically working with you one time, I was like, I'm going to start to play music. And then you asked me to play something like jazz or something joyful. And I think, I don't remember what music we played, but I think it was very like uplifting sort of music. And I guess our attitude, how we want to show up in this kind of journey. Yes, it's painful. It can be very miserable for us to go through it. But do we want to add more pain by trying to resist, by trying to, even like what I get from some of the patients are like fighting the battle that's not supposed to be there. There's a real battle. There's a real
Yeah,
battle. But then there's some other battles we imagine in our mind, and then we're exhausting our energy. Yeah, you're nodding, so I
yeah.
guess you kind of know what I'm talking about.
Like I feel like, no, it starts with hope. That's where it all starts from. Anybody can hope for something, and I think, um, like if you're hoping for the sun to rise another day, you can hope and hope and hope, and after enough times,
Hmm.
it's no longer hope. I think it's faith. You know that the
Yeah.
sun's going to rise again, and then I think hopefully from that, you won't be concerned about the sun rising or setting. You'll just love and enjoy the sunshine, and when the sun sets and it's dark, you won't be afraid anymore. You won't have to worry
Mm.
about things. You'll be at peace.
You have this capacity to enjoy each moment. Um, like when the
Yeah,
sun is setting, you're not craving for the moment when the sun is rising. You're just enjoying the moment of watching whatever is in front of you. I think um, that's a very beautiful place to be. And what do you hope for in this moment?
what I hope for?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I think of, you said something in the hospital that always stuck with me. You said the wounded healer.
Mm,
You threw that out. You also threw out golden handcuffs, which I love. Which is, I say those things together because I think that's kind of my future. I don't want to work like another corporate job. I don't want to be in 13 Zoom meetings a day.
mhm.
I, I hope I can help people, and who knows, maybe the book is a good start. Maybe this podcast is a good start. I try going, there's communities online for leukemia survivors, and like to chime in once in a while, check in with others, and yeah, I'm always happy to help people that are going through something serious. Yeah,
For patients who are going through similar journey, say another Oscar in Stanford Hospital who just had a transplant. Um, I don't think we should give advices to people, but I do think a question we can offer to them can be valuable so they can go inside and seek their own answer. What would be a good question you want to offer to the patients in the hospital or other, or even, if they're going through recovery, for them to dive deeper inside of themselves and perhaps to help them to see hope on this journey?
oh, that's a really good question. I want to put them in a positive mindset, like, hey, when this is all over,
Mhm.
how are you going to, what do you want your life to be like?
Okay.
Keep them looking forward. Keep them, I think that's for me a huge part of perseverance, actually, to have that goal in mind, you know.
Mm,
Like I'm going to climb this mountain because it's going to be beautiful on top, and I'm going to
mm,
have a little picnic and watch the sunset, and that's why you're climbing this mountain or whatever.
yeah.
Want them to think about the future and
Yeah.
not be so stuck in this painful present with all the machines and all the beeping and all the worries
Hmm.
and all the insurance paperwork and phone calls and whatnot. Think think a bit more about the future. What are you going to do when you get out of here?
Yeah. And it can be anything simple or big. I remember I asked a similar question to a patient, and then she said that when she get out, she just want to have a really good burger, not the hospital burger.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And
had
then,
moments like that. Yeah.
uh-huh, yeah. It's like little things. It could be just watch the sunset, like I think you said that. I want to watch the sunset from my apartment and a
Yeah.
different view from a different location that I'm familiar with a different mindset. So it also like I think when we're in a very vulnerable state, we get to really answer in a more honest way, right? So when we have everything, we tend to say, I want to have I don't know, a VP job, so I'll have $1 million. But when we're in a very vulnerable state, I think we tend to be very, very honest and say, "Oh, this is actually what I really wanted, and not that what I thought I wanted when I had everything." So it's a really good opportunity. I would say take advantage of this moment. Um, what do you think makes us human being, Oscar? From your perspective, you went through so much, so I'm expecting something special from you. No pressure though.
Wow, what makes us human being? I think our imperfection. I think about that a lot. I don't like about the uncanny valley, right? Where like if something's too perfect, it looks creepy, like
Yes.
3D videos or whatever. Like human beings are meant to be imperfect. Um, I think you should eat with your hands more. I think you should not get angry if you get paint on your shirt or if you dribble some water on your shirt. Be human, you know, um, howl at the moon, dance, move.
Mhm.
Don't be this robotic, don't be the LinkedIn version of yourself. Be a human being,
Mm. Oh,
be real. I think imperfection is kind of where it all starts. We should be messy, should ask a bunch of questions, and maybe some of them aren't appropriate, but we should explore and yeah, I think it's all tied into being imperfect. Be messy.
be messy. I love
Yeah.
that. I grew up with a mother who had a lot of requirements for me, so I really appreciate this answer because that does make me feel I got the freedom, the permission just to be who I am. I don't have to, I really enjoy painting and drawing as a child, but my mom would say, I don't want you to be a starving artist, but give me a joy when I'm in that, flow state, just like picking the color that makes
Yeah.
me feel alive and you know, just draw a shape that makes me feel like that makes sense to me. And so it doesn't have to be um, making certain things so perfect. And then also like who is the one to judge if it's perfect or not?
Hmm.
Dance, my husband and I went to Iceland for a week of dance, and he was so resisting it. He's like, I'm not good at this. People are gonna laugh at me. I don't want to dance. He called this whole week as a week of torture because he was
Oh, yeah.
no, I'm not. Everyone is so good at this. But imagine a world we don't care about how other people think about us. We just show up and be ourselves. I think there is actually gonna be less anger, less violence. I know you have a stash of papers. Do you want to show more of your arts before we end our conversation?
I can show. there's a painting I did um, when I was first intubated. Um, it's kind of like I had to put my mind somewhere else because I was like just stuck in this bed with
Yeah.
a bunch of pillows on my side
Yeah.
and just I felt like I was stuck in this bed with masks and the tubes and all that. So I kind of disassociated in a way and I became
Yeah.
this man with the cigar in his mouth because I would kind of bite down on the tube
Yeah.
and just a man with a cigar in his mouth in a canoe. And I was just
Ooh.
floating down the stream. And that's what I had to put in my mind to kind of not lose it and go crazy. And this is what I drew, painted.
Wow. This is so beautiful. Is that you in the boat and the river?
Again,
And it's interesting
yeah.
because the sky was actually not gloomy at all. It was very clear with the white clouds. It's actually very, the colors you pick are bright too. It's like, I wouldn't imagine that was something that you had in your mind when you're going through such a difficult moment.
Oh, yeah, you have to. And you have to get to that place, or at least I did. And
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of that's the beauty of hope and that's the beauty of music. I
Yes.
always had like, when I've done a bunch of hospital stays, right? I've been in and out of the hospital for I've done over a year in the hospital, grand total.
Mhm.
One of the first things I say is bring me my headphones and my phone charger because I need music. And
Yeah.
music can take me to another place. It's beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah. Music it moves us. It's for me to think about, like you're talking about not to work in the corporate anymore. I work in the corporate for a long time. I think that it's missing the human element because it requires us to show up in a way that's not pure human. We had to work nonstop, but we as human, I think we're here to create, to be moved and to connect on a level that's not just give and take, transactional. And so I feel like the current corporate state, it's missing the heart and soul. And but I do have a hope. Can we? Because we're all human beings. It's like the whole tower moment in tarot cards. It's like things are crumbling, crumbling, and then it falls down, and so we can build a new foundation. And that perhaps the corporate system in the future will be filled with love and heart. Who knows? And yeah, the art you just shared reminds me of another art another patient did. It's so interesting because that patient, I guided him through a visualization where he painted his inner journey. It was him standing by the riverbank, watching river water flowing. On the other side, it was the maple trees. Um, And then seeing your painting this time, I was like, it could be just Oscar flowing down the river and he was watching by the riverbank, because we're all
Oh, I love
connected
that.
in a way, like
We
you think
are.
you're alone in the river, but the person who's
Yeah.
standing by the riverbank watching the river all think they're alone. But if we're really putting everything together, no
That
one is alone
reminds
in the
me,
hospital. Yeah, go ahead.
when you said we're all connected, Timo, he heard birds singing. And I had the exact same experience where when I got out of the hospital, I heard birds singing and it brought me to tears. And he said, me too. We had the exact same experience. And I thought, wow, we're like connected with this, um, the same disease and the same experience of breaking down when we heard birds singing. And I think we kind of came to the same conclusion. We tried to figure it out, like why. And I think it just represented life. We were, stuck in those four walls
Hmm.
where you can't hear the outside world, and then you get out and you hear life.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it is beautiful life. Sometimes we just need to open our eyes to see it. Um, And it's not true, right? Like, the feeling of I'm alone in this hospital room, stuck in this empty room, just myself, no one else. But that's not true because next door is someone else who is also going through something similar. And because you don't get to see it,
Yeah.
when I push my little cart, doing those rounds, I get to see, wow, you're just like Oscar. Oh my God, you're just like this person. There's so many similarities um, we all share. And it kind of comes down to this, like, what do you mean to be a human being? I thought about this, um, if I die tomorrow, like, how would I live my life in a way that makes me feel proud of myself? And sometimes my friends will be like, oh, Sha, like, do a TED talk, do this, do that. Like, I thought about it, but then I realized I'm not interested. Like for me, this lifetime, I know I'm here to be in service for love. But for before that, I need to understand what love means to me, because love is not just say I love you, thank you. It goes deeper. It goes to me, it's like really being able to listen what the other person is saying. Um,
Yeah.
it's a process of purification of our own mind. So we have the capacity to love. So I'm learning how to do that, starting from myself, my husband, my parents, and friends, and then patients. And then, so I think that's more important than some of the bigger things or flashy things, being an influencer or whatever. That can be, I feel like a distraction for a lot of younger people nowadays because looks cool. Um, but is that really what you wanted? How would you, if you die tomorrow, what would you want to leave behind? Do you have anything to share? I think that could be an inspiration for people who might also want to consider how they wanted to realign their lives and everything in a way that's more true to their essence.
Yeah, I think this question got me thinking a lot, and it'd be great to leave behind, money, property, assets, whatever, but I think I would love to leave behind some good memories
Mm,
for family, friends, other people. Um, I think about like I guess spirits you could say. Like my
mm,
grandma passed away. Um, gosh, probably she passed away about 11 years ago. It was like right when I got sober. Um, and I still kind of feel her spirit, like, her laugh and her teachings. She she taught me blackjack when I was like 5 years old. So like, when I think of blackjack, I think of her, and she was really into boxing. So I'm like 8 years old watching boxing fights, and um, just those memories kind of live on, and can hear her advice sometimes, and I can, I'm not saying like I'm crazy and I can talk to her, but like I can in a way, I can use her
I can
spirit,
totally relate. My
like yeah.
Yes, you speaking of connection, my grandmother also died 11 years ago, and she talks to me way more now. Before she was, it's like when she was alive, we didn't get to talk much. Now I hear her all the time, so I totally get what you're talking about.
There is one saying that she said that, oh, it always sticks in my head. She said, Tienes que ser todo con amor. You have to do everything with love. And I think about that a lot,
Mhm.
why am I choosing this job?
Yeah,
Am I gonna be doing it with love?
yeah.
Is it just because of the money or the prestige? Or
Because the
I think
money
that's
go
a good,
away. You can
yeah,
carry you can take the money with you to your graveyard one day. But like you're saying, you remember your grandmother. She had this love within her and the memories you created, and you still remember her. Someone said that the way to be remembered is to love. And not through words, but through actions, experiences. That actually got me to think a lot because I spent a lot of time meditating. Um, And now it inspired me to start to do things, take trips, go to the places with my parents, because they're also getting older. I want to create more memories with them. Yeah, I think it's important to experience life and not get so caught up on some of the stories we tell ourselves. Our time comes to the end. I do want to share something I wrote, inspired by our time together and you, and then I would say the kind of like soft strength I witnessed from you and your mother. Because a lot of parents, if they don't have the strength, they would choose to hide in a way. Like, I can't be there because I'm too sad. It takes certain strength, It goes like this. Who gets to survive when facing adversities? Not the one who fight with anger. They will exhaust their energy to death. Not the ones who hide, escape, or resist. They will be killed by their own ruminating thoughts, contaminated by fear. But the ones who ease into their soft strength, like a tree embraces and grows in 4 seasons, taking deep roots in the ground. Even after being burned by wildfires, they sprout fresh leaves again with patience. So that's something for you and your mom and everyone who is going through some difficult times right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all your, wisdoms and your reflections. I always say this, there's so many third men in nowadays. We think we read an article, an Instagram post on, 3 things, 5 things you should do. And then we think we get it. But it's actually through this direct experiences we cultivate the love, the strength. Like you're saying, we're creating memories. We have to participate in life. It doesn't matter how hard it gets.
Yeah.
And through reflections, we cultivated that quality we wanted to cultivate, whether it's love, strength, patience, or whatever. And then because that's what makes this whole lifetime worth living. So I want to encourage whoever is listening to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. When you practice these things and you learn these things, share them with others. Just like I love what you're doing with the podcast and with your work. You're sharing these lessons and teachings with other people, and it makes a difference. You've made a difference in my life for sure. You're the reason why I'm painting, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I'm gonna be keep watching you on Instagram. I know you post your paintings there. I always say this, the arts we create is a representation of who we are. So the arts, you get to see Oscar's art is a hope. When I see it's a hope, it's love, it is laughter, humor, all the things that he is. And so follow him and you can get a little bit, I call this like a ingestion, get a shot of hope, a shot of whatever that you need in the moment. So I think that's what art gives us. It's like the music, right? Some music inspires us. Some music makes us sad. But that's how we human beings create music. AI cannot do it. I don't know if AI can feel all those things yet, but that's maybe another conversation.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that all day. Oh yeah, I got my thoughts on that. Now time
I
for
know
live calls, right? Live calls? Who's online too?
What is that? Live calls?
I'm kidding. I'm being silly.
It's all good, all good. And I'm gonna stop the conversation here, but I know you and I are gonna continue our conversation outside of this podcast episode.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, Shaw.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to subscribe and share the show with your colleagues and friends. I'll see you next week.